Okay, we're going to open up the forum to questions and answers. If anyone has a question, please step up to the microphone here and address the panel, and then the panel will do its best to try to address your question. I'll see if I can get this microphone back on this semi-crazy stand. Anyone with a question? You can also speak for.
Talk down.
You can also speak from your chairs if you're too shy to be on the microphone.
My name is Michael Plunkett. I live in Clearwater, and I'd be interested in knowing how many people are from Pinellas County, and whether or not you'd like to establish at least a phone net so that we could keep in touch over there. And then I would recommend that the people from Hillsborough do it too. And maybe sometime in the future we could have friendly competition with designing political posters and music, and in other words, make it friendly and fun, and not have to start organizing from the very beginning when you want to start a new movement. So, can I see one more time just how many people are from Pinellas, so I'll make it a point to. If I miss you, would you contact me before we leave? I encourage you Hillsborough people to do the same.
Thank you.
I just want to respond to that really quick. With regards to poster making, etc., we are actually going to have a follow-up event to this on May 4th. It's going to be at Cafe Hay, and details are still in the works, but it's going to be, everyone remembers the poster competition that was had during the Republican National Convention at Cafe Hay. A lot of people designed their own posters, and there was a little competition over who can buy. We're going to have music and open mics, etc. So if people want to start making media, the purpose of having this event on May 4th is because there's 2 more talks that are going to be coming up in Canada and the US, so we have the potential to organize really a lot before then. This was kind of like a last minute thing. Like Brian was saying, like not even a lot of people know that this is happening. It's been secretive since 2008. So May 4th, we're going to try and have a gathering media as far as like creating media and getting it out there, and just have an event to speak out. And that'll be in advance of the 2 talks, which are scheduled for June and September. And details on those talks are still yet to be released because they know we're coming.
So in regards to that, where are you going to advertise that these follow-up talks are happening? Because the only way that I found out is I heard you listen to the radio and this dude was talking about this.
Right, and that's like I was saying, we had very little time to organize for this because
totally.
the round of talks was this
But
week, and is this week.
Going forward.
Yeah, going forward, we did have an event, on Facebook. We tried to get media out there on the radio to discuss it, but as far as being prepared for May, we'll have a lot more time to organize if people want to set up these phone banks. We have a listserv that's on Google that people can join also, where there's discussion and organizing and planning going on as well. And I think there's a clipboard going around. So yeah, there's a sign-up sheet going around.
Yeah, because I'd be interested in getting out word that there's also follow-up information about this to the community. So
are you on? You can go to.
I did sign up there, so there's going to be actual information coming from that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, May 4th. Everybody mark it down. So Saturday. It's gonna be fun. And there may be a speakeasy later that day. Oh, if no one's going to ask questions, I just want to give another quick example of how this investor-state thing goes down. So this was like well in advance of this trade agreement, but it was with Japan. So let's just talk about how Japan had some really awesome standards back in the day. They used to have this went to the World Trade Organization Tribunal. And this was a court that was decided, or this was a case that was decided on. So Japan had these really amazing standards for produce that was getting imported, where they would have to go through this screening, like a residue screening, to see how much pesticide was still residue on the produce, because they had very high standards. Well, the U.S. brought a suit against them, and this was state to state. The trade agreements have allowed investor-state disputes. This was still back in the day when it was just state-to-state disputes. And so the United States brought a case against Japan, and the World Trade Organization decided that because Japan's standards were better, i.e. for the people, making sure that they were safe from all these pesticides that our companies use on our monoculture system, they decided that because those standards were higher, they actually in fact violated the trade agreements that were in existence, the trade laws that were already existent under the World Trade Organization, and so they ruled in favor, of course, of their lower standards, which allowed for a more open market. So that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at laws being taken away to protect our health, our environment. Like I was saying with Keystone XL pipeline, that's a big thing for me because you know, if the Keystone was to get decided against by Obama, you know, they could still try and get it through Enbridge pipeline all the way to the other side of the Canadian coast, and which is on the Pacific Ocean. What does that mean? So there's a lot here for people to be concerned about. It's really a threat to our own sovereignty and our own ability to create the world that we want. So hopefully people will get engaged in the next few months because Obama's trying to pass this through by October. So.
I'd just like to make a couple comments myself as well. Interesting that she should bring up Japan. When there was a mad cow disease scare, bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or BSE, as it's sometimes known scientifically, the United States was testing 1% of its beef for BSE. And we were attempting to export beef to Japan. Does anybody know what percentage of beef was tested in Japan at that time? This is several years ago, but not recent, but at that time. Anybody know? 100%. We were testing 1%. We knew it was in the food supply. They were testing 100%. So that shows you some of the disparities that you can have in trade agreements and standards country to country. And this is going to be a race to the bottom for everybody. It's corporatism, it's naked fascism. They didn't win in World War II militarily. So now they're trying it legislatively, legally, politically, and economically. And they're having some success. It's got to be stopped if we want to have anything left for the middle class or the lower class in this country. Anyone else?
Does anyone have any luck using Facebook in organizing? The thought I have is possibly for Pinellas County starting a Pinellas County progressive Facebook page so we could all keep in touch. And,
It's called Awake the State.
pardon?
It's called Awake the State.
Awake Pinellas!
Awake Pinellas.
And also
Yes.
Pinellas Progressive.
There's also a TPP group already established on Facebook. There's a group, Floridians against the Florida against the TPP, against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's where a lot of people that got involved with this a couple weeks ago have been talking a lot besides the Google group. So Florida against the Trans-Pacific Partnership is already online, and that can connect everybody too.
Rhetorical question. Why didn't I know that other than being dumb as shit?
I mean, really, it's just, you know, no, this trade agreement's been secretive since 2008, you know, and when you look on Facebook, you have to search certain ways. It doesn't always pull up certain things. It's, you know.
Okay, my whole point is more communication among ourselves.
Well, and that's why the list is where we got to start. Yeah, exactly. We have to start communicating more often.
Right, are you going to, that circulate, were you going to be able to circulate it to everyone?
I think you're just going to
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say that's why building coalitions is so important. Getting word out is always a huge problem, but if we get people from various groups here, I can take the word to my people, you can take the word to your people, they can take the word to their people, and that's how we grow. So I'm glad that everybody's out here representing different groups, and please spread the word to the people that you work with as well.
Nobody actually came right out and said it, so I'm going to say something that's probably obvious to a lot of you. But international treaties take precedent over U.S. laws. That's why this is so dangerous, because it's not just a trade agreement. All this stuff about internet privacy and patent rights extending for decades after people died and actually did the work, this becomes U.S. law if it is accepted. And my understanding of the current method is to say, we need the Trans-Pacific Partnership, vote for it. Here it is. Oh, by the way, it's sealed, you can't see what's inside it, but let me know what's there 4 years later. But sign it now. And that's their plan to get this passed. That, I don't remember anything like that in any of my civics classes. So if you took a civics class and that wasn't in there, they're doing a lot of things. They're just making the stuff as they go along. So my question, probably for Dominique, but for anybody else that would have any information, what are the other countries that are under the gun for the TPP doing to organize against it?
Okay, so, I mean, basically, in Australia and in New
really organized. The last round of negotiations was in New Zealand. They had big protests. They did a cartoon contest. You can go to itsourfuture.org.nz and see their awesome protests. Japan is probably the most organized against it, even though because they've been talking about joining it for a long time. So I know Alisa from Public Citizen Global Trade Watch talked about how they already had like mass mobilizations there around it. Malaysia, and I mentioned the HIV/AIDS activist community is up in arms. In Peru, there's not really a lot of activity right now, or Chile. In Mexico, they have, a really strong history of fighting trade agreements, and in Canada also, but it's like here in the U.S., it's just not activated yet. So I think that we really need to be focusing on building solidarity with other countries as we go forward, rather than just focusing, how do you say insularly?
I can tell you, one of the things that I did as we were getting the word out about this event today, I went on Facebook and I went to a lot of the countries that were involved in this. Canada, for example, I went to the Canadian Environmental whatever, and I posted information about this, and I attached a video, and I got immediate response. This particular group didn't know anything about it, so they were going to take the information to another Canadian group. I have had response from Japan, for people in Japan. So I would suggest seriously that if you go and just, put in coalition, Canada, put in whatever, it will pop up groups, Facebook groups of people in other countries who really, if you just cut and paste and do a personal message or whatever, you'll be surprised at the response that you get because you're giving them information that a lot of these groups and people don't have. It's really worked well.
Yeah, I want to encourage people. There's a national organizing call organized by Citizens Trade that happens once a month, and they invite speakers from other countries who are active and also from the U.S. And so if you go to citizenstrade.org and email them at info@citizenstrade.org, you can get on those conference calls, and they're really helpful to get the pulse on the international movement.
Quickly, there's a group in Canada called the Council of Canadian Law.
Yes.
And that's a social justice organization that's active.
Yeah, they know about it. So I told Canadian, this one group that I had been in touch with that, I shared that they already had been talking about TPP on their site. So I just think it's a great way to, use the internet, like Occupy did. What it's there for. Use it before you lose it. Great.
Okay, so I wanted to, since Wade Knowles was mentioned as his wake Tampa, I really would encourage, especially anybody has learned about it, or they coordinate or get information from a TPP group online, that they come to one of those tables. One of the cool things about those tables, they are tables of progressive organizations. At our table, we have everyone from that are the NAACP, Sierra Club, other kinds of people that are involved in other organizations. And so what happens is when you bring a project to the table, if you're willing to manage that project, you will have access to other people and that can reach out to their networks around these things, especially if it gets adopted by the group. If it gets adopted by the whole group as a project that they want to see done, and you're willing to manage it, then it will have greater reach, and it's definitely a progressive cause. So I really encourage everybody to find out. Wake Up Pinellas, I know they 449 Central Avenue, Monday nights at 8 p.m. And I'm not sure of meeting, but you can add yourself to or look for the Wake Tampa page, and they're on Facebook, and it'll really help, because one of the things we've done a lot of is campaigns to try and put pressure on policymakers. Usually we're focused on local, but this will affect everybody. And local, it's something I can see our group taking up you know, especially if somebody was willing to project manage it, basically. We definitely have good strategies that can be at least passed on for influencing decision makers and building a campaign around it to influence decision makers, because really that's what we need to have done. We can definitely do the education piece and reach out to people, but that's part of a strategy as well to influence decision makers so that they don't pass or they do what they can to impede the progress of this trade agreement.
Actually, to talk about decision makers, I want to throw this in. I know Sierra Club has a letter that they are trying to get state legislators to sign on to opposing it. Now, the Florida legislature is what it is, but there might be a few sane members there who would be willing to sign on to such a letter. So see me, give me your information, and I can pass it on to you and make contacts with legislators that you might think would be amenable.
Speaking of representatives, Linda Stewart, who is a Florida legislator from Orlando, very amenable to causes like this. So Linda Stewart, Orlando. Okay. And also, I wanted to pass this on. When Alyssa Simmons was here, Dominique, Alyssa, and myself were at Bill Nelson's office in Orlando, Senator Bill Nelson. And he has signed on to a letter of environmental protection against TPP. He also, we talked to his aide, wonderful woman, Lisa White, over there in Orlando. But she said, because he's on the finance committee, and she told us that whether this is up or down, that it still has to go through the finance committee. So Bill Nelson is definitely aware of this. He knows it's coming. And so he's kind of, I would like to hope and pray he has our back. But he's someone I think everyone should be in touch with and continue to boost him, because he's important. And Marco Rubio, well, good luck.
Basic strategy in campaigns like this is to hold up people that are your heroes as your heroes. Give them the cover they need to make the tough decisions, and those that are not going to vote in their interest, you want to give them as much hell as possible.
Right.
So that they're embarrassed, or at least it's registered in the papers, in the media, that they're against it. So it makes it a wedge that you can use against them in the next election.
Also, Lisa told us, and we were trying to pull this together for the event today, but that the Bill Nelson's representative here in Tampa area is very, very friendly as well to this whole project. In fact, if we had been able to bring that person in, they probably would have been at this event today. So, Bill Nelson, Linda Stewart, I know those two are.
Thank you.
When is the next meeting? At 499 Central?
449 Central, and the SEIU offices there.
How often and when is the next meeting?
Every Monday at 8 p.m.
Oh, one more. I want to give this name out because I think that if, if I have a name at the White House that we can use, this is a senior trade advisor to the Foreign Trade Service who's involved in TPP. As I was writing the story, I called him, and actually this man called me back. Robert Spitzer, as in Elliot Spitzer, but this is Robert Spitzer. He is a senior advisor on the TPP. I left a message for him. He called me back within 20 minutes. I was, needless to say, completely shocked. I asked him as much as I could before he asked me who I was with. But I did find out that that he said members on the Hill, some have knowledge of the TPP. He said Ways and Means, Finance, and the Senate and House Agricultural Committees. I don't know if they have full access, but they have knowledge of the documents. So, Robert Spitzer, want to bug somebody? Bug Mr. Spitzer, because he responded to my phone call. I don't know if I'll get through to him again, but I'd work him.
So a lot of people have discussed how there's multiple ways to address this issue. There's awesome gatherings like we're doing right now. There's educational activities we're hoping to do on this March to channel side and just pass out some information and get people aware of what's going on. And there's also what you see here behind us is a PowerPoint And also, there's a few other PowerPoints that have been created for different preschool classes, et cetera, in Tampa and in Gainesville. And those are available as well if anybody wants anything. When that email goes out, when that first email goes out, just respond that you'd like some educational media so that you can use it where you are and host your own speak out, et cetera. So, yes.
Presentation on the trade, World Trade Center?
The presentation is not, no.
How do I get this?
We'll be like, yeah, we have it, you know, on the computer, we have it downloaded. There's a couple that we have too, so. Like I said, we'll just send out the email to everybody, and then just so you all know, there are presentations available, so you know, take them, use them, spread it out, you know, just get it out there. And people can, you know, you can just distro, you can send it as an attachment to your friends, let them read up on it themselves, you know, it's consolidated information. So, yeah, unless there's other questions, we have a route map and there's some posters and stuff like that. We can all get some of this energy out and it's a lot. But I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I think we're just about ready to march. There was a new video that came out today. It's called Peril in the Pacific. It's put out by Earth First, I believe. And then you can also go to Public Citizen. And if you go to Floridians on Facebook, Floridians Against the Trans-Pacific Partnership, there's a video by the Sierra Club and CWA, Communication Workers of America. About 23 minutes, informs you very well. I haven't seen this one yet, but I'm sure this one is probably a little longer and a little more informative. So we're inviting you to grab
SierraClub.org/trade also, and I think we've got the same video on that website with the CWA and lots of other good stuff too.
So we're inviting you to grab a poster and form up. And Mark, would you introduce the people that are going to be directing us along the way? There's just a couple turns in the march, but we've got some people that are going to keep us going in the right direction. Thank you all for coming out, and let's get some exercise.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you everybody for coming. Appreciate it.
Great.
Here's a map for the march.
Amos Mears has the route maps, and Amos has been, more than anyone has been organizing the pathfinders and marshals for the march. John Alexander is going to help with that. I'm going to be helping with video and still cameras. I'm a crazy person. So speak to Amos, he'll give you a route map, grab some flyers. The initial flyers in this box here. Go on the march.
Take a look right here.
Feel free.
We start.